Amidst the whispers of disbelief, a millionaire, facing the shadow of his impending demise, made a bold decision that would change everything. He adopted 5 boys from the unforgiving streets. Unbeknownst to them, destiny was poised to alter the course of their lives forever. Share your location in the comments below. I'm eager to discover the places my viewers call home. Now let us plunge into the tale that awaits. The manila envelope lay untouched on Alexander Morgan's mahogany desk, its slender form casting an ominous shadow that loomed larger than its size suggested. From the towering windows of his penthouse office on the 52nd floor, Manhattan gleamed like a treasure trove, blissfully unaware of the chaos hidden within that unassuming folder. 3 months, Alexander whispered, shattering the heavy silence that had settled over the room since his personal physician had departed. Only 3 months left to breathe. The words lingered in the atmosphere, as palpable as the exquisite artwork that graced his walls. At 58, Alexander Morgan stood atop an empire that stretched across continents, a testament to his relentless ambition and cunning strategy. The Morgan Investments logo loomed majestically over towering edifices in 12 nations. His fortune could rival that of small nations, yet in this moment, it held no significance. With a deft motion, Alexander loosened his silk tie, the fabric slipping through his fingers like a whisper of luxury. He poured himself 3 fingers of 30-year-old scotch, the amber liquid glinting in the dim light, promising warmth and solace in a world that felt increasingly cold. The amber liquid shimmered, capturing the last rays of the setting sun as he brought it to his lips. The flavor lingered, bitter and charred, reminiscent of ash settling on the tongue. What legacy am I leaving? He questioned the silence of the empty room. His voice, once a powerful force in the boardrooms, now echoed with an unsettling emptiness, even to his own ears. 5 years had passed since his wife, Elizabeth, had fallen victim to the same relentless disease. They had always lived in a world untouched by the laughter of children, forever consumed by the relentless pursuit of empire, convinced that time would always be waiting in the wings. Now, the moment had arrived, and there would be no more waiting. Alexander approached the window, his gaze fixed on the minuscule figures darting about beneath him, reminiscent of ants in a frantic search for purpose. How many of them were hurrying back to the warm embrace of their families? How many had a soul waiting for them? A surge of loneliness washed over him, engulfing him in its depths. Memories surged forth, overwhelming the senses. His early years unfolded within the tight confines of a small apartment in the Bronx. His mother toiled relentlessly, juggling 3 jobs, all while the shadow of his father's abandonment loomed over them. The scholarship that held the promise of freedom and a new beginning, the unyielding ascent toward the summit. He had sworn an oath to himself, a fierce declaration that he would never again expose his vulnerabilities, never again rely on another's soul. And he had triumphed, with dazzling brilliance. Incredibly, his phone vibrated with an urgent intensity. Yet another board meeting loomed ahead. A new conquest awaits, yet another billion to accumulate, to accounts that would soon be claimed by distant relatives, strangers who had never taken the time to truly know him. Alexander Morgan, the undisputed master of the universe, faced the chilling reality of his impending solitude in death. He placed his untouched drink on the table, the glass glinting under the dim light, and adjusted his tie with a deliberate precision. The mask of the ruthless businessman snapped back into place, a chilling facade as he meticulously gathered his papers, each movement deliberate and calculated. Yet, a fracture had formed deep within him, a truth that lies at the very core of existence. As the doors slid shut behind him, he stepped into the elevator, the air thick with anticipation. In the stillness of the moment, Alexander forged a vow, unspoken yet resolute. His final days would carry weight and significance. He stood there, lost in a fog of uncertainty, grappling with the weight of his confusion. Or perhaps how. The elevator doors slid shut, sealing away the empire he had painstakingly constructed, leaving behind a haunting void that echoed with loss. The charity gala had turned into a torturous affair. As the driver skillfully maneuvered through the shadowy streets of Manhattan, Alexander tightened his bow tie, the fabric a stark contrast against the city's dimly lit backdrop. His thoughts spiraled back to the diagnosis, an unrelenting echo in the depths of his mind. 3 long months. The hushed whispers and sharp assessing stares from those who had learned of his plight enveloped him, making him feel like a fragile asset, teetering on the brink of collapse. "Take the next right, James," Alexander commanded, his voice slicing through the tension in the air. The swift path back to safety. The limousine glided into a shadowy alley, its headlights slicing through the darkness, illuminating the silent storefronts that stood shuttered for the night. As they neared the narrow passageway between the towering structures, Alexander caught a flicker of motion lurking in the darkness. "Halt the vehicle, sir, for just a fleeting moment." Ignoring his driver's worried pleas, Alexander plunged into the biting December cold. The ominous forecast hinted at snow descending before dawn. With each step, he edged closer to the alley, the sharp sound of his Italian leather shoes echoing ominously against the pavement. 5 shadowy figures emerged from the darkness, their outlines barely discernible against the night. A group of boys huddled together, their makeshift blankets of cardboard and newspapers barely shielding them from the chill of the night. The eldest appeared barely more than 15, while the youngest seemed to be no more than 7 or 8. In an instant, they were wide awake, their senses heightened like prey animals acutely aware of an impending threat. "Easy," Alexander said, raising his hands in a gesture of calm. "I not the law." The eldest boy positioned himself defiantly before the rest, a shield against the unknown lurking in the shadows. "We're not doing anything wrong." The sign read, "Private property," a stark warning against trespass. Yet, the owner had given us the green light, allowing us to linger here, at least until the sound of machinery shattered the stillness and construction began. Alexander observed the meticulous arrangement of their scant belongings, each item placed with purpose and care. In their gaze, a profound intelligence flickered, captivating him, especially in the eyes of the eldest and the tiniest among them. "What do you call yourselves?" he inquired, his voice laced with curiosity. The stillness enveloped everything, a heavy blanket of quiet that seemed to stretch on forever. Once more, the eldest voice broke the silence. "My name is Ethan. Meet Tyler and Thomas." He waved his hand toward the mirror image boys surrounding him. 13. Meet Lucas, a slender 11-year-old whose hands seemed to dance with creativity. And there was Dylan, the small boy whose eyes held the weight of the world. "Your brothers, are they?" "Not by blood," Ethan whispered, his voice laced with a haunting certainty. "By the twist of fate." Something awakened deep within Alexander, something he believed was buried in the depths of the past. A sudden surge of raw, uncontainable energy seized him, compelling him to act against all reason. "It is destined to snow tonight," he whispered, a hint of anticipation in his voice. "A hidden gem lies just around the corner. Cozy sanctuaries, steaming dishes await." Instantly, suspicion flickered in their eyes. "No strings attached," Alexander declared, his voice steady and unwavering. "Tonight, the air is thick with the magic of the Christmas season." The boys huddled together, their voices barely above a whisper, as Alexander stood by, anticipation coursing through him. From the confines of the car, his driver stared in disbelief, unable to comprehend the unfolding scene. At last, Ethan raised his gaze. "In the stillness of the night, we remain united. We can depart whenever we choose. Understood?" 20. Moments later, Alexander Morgan, a man who had never known the companionship of a pet, stood transfixed as 5 street boys hesitantly stepped into his penthouse. They stood huddled together in the expansive living room, their expressions a mix of awe and terror as they absorbed the opulence that enveloped them. "The kitchen is stocked," Alexander declared, a hint of excitement in his voice. "The bedroom lies at the end of that shadowy hall. The bathroom is equipped with all the essentials you could possibly desire. If you require anything, I'll be in my study, waiting in the shadows of my thoughts." Just as he was about to step away, the tiniest of the group, Dylan, found his voice. "What drives you to take this path?" Alexander came to a sudden halt. It was a question that lingered in the shadows of his mind, elusive and haunting, one he couldn't quite grasp, not entirely. Instead, he uttered with a chilling calmness, because I can. As he sat in solitude within the confines of his study, the muted echoes of life reverberated through the hollow spaces of his home, stirring a tempest of thoughts. It was in that charged silence that a daring plan began to take shape, one so audacious that even he struggled to grasp the reality of his own contemplation. Tomorrow, he would summon his lawyers, the weight of the decision pressing heavily on his chest. Alexander's Manhattan mansion loomed like a grand specter, its immaculate surfaces gleaming under the harsh light, pristine yet hauntingly devoid of warmth, an echo of life long extinguished. Now, the vibrant laughter of youthful voices reverberated against the cold marble floors and the sleek lines of designer furniture. "This is insane," Harold Winters, Alexander's attorney of 20 years, whispered, his eyes fixed on the boys from the shadowed doorway of the study. The 5 children moved as one, a tightly knit group that never ventured far from one another. A temporary guardianship may offer a fleeting sense of security, but the weight of adoption carries a profound and unbreakable bond. Every single one, in your, what is the state of affairs? Alexander watched intently as the twins, Tyler and Thomas, scrutinized their surroundings with an insatiable technical curiosity. Lucas's fingers danced over the intricate patterns of an antique vase, tracing its history with the reverence of an artist. Meanwhile, Ethan's sharp gaze meticulously counted exits and valuables, ever vigilant. Little Dylan, with wide eyes, absorbed every detail like a sponge, soaking in the world around him with an eagerness that was palpable. "It was my condition, Harold," Alexander replied, as he meticulously processed the paperwork. 3 days in, and the air crackled with tension. In a moment of reckless abandon, the boys collided with a priceless vase, shattering it into 1,000 irretrievable pieces as their laughter echoed through the room. Alexander's voice cut through the air like a blade, sharp and unforgiving. Ethan sprang into action, orchestrating the silence stretched on, an agonizing void that lingered for hours. On the 4th night, shadows danced in the dim light as Alexander caught sight of Dylan, his fingers deftly working to pick the lock of his study. "What do you believe you're up to?" he commanded with an intensity that left no room for doubt. The small boy leaped into the air, a burst of energy and excitement propelling him forward. I stood at the edge of the precipice, the wind howling around me like a restless spirit. Below, the churning sea crashed against the jagged rocks, sending sprays of salt water into the air. My heart raced as I peered into the abyss, the darkness beckoning me with a promise of secrets untold. Each breath felt heavy with anticipation, and I could almost hear the whispers of those who had come before me, urging me to take the leap into the unknown. The world behind me faded away, and in that moment, I was ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. I yearned to explore the depths of your books. There was an unspoken tension in the air, a weight that hung between us. You could have asked, but instead, silence lingered, thick and suffocating. Dylan's gaze sharpened, a flicker of intensity igniting within him. "It's rare for adults to grant me a yes." The raw honesty left Alexander reeling. With a swift turn of the key, he unlocked the door, the sound echoing in the stillness of the night. In this moment, I find myself embracing the undeniable truth. I am saying yes now. The boy's face ignited with wonder as he ventured into the vast expanse of the library. As the clock ticked past bedtime, Alexander's voice broke the stillness, prompting Dylan to look up with eager eyes. "Can I take one to read?" he inquired, a spark of curiosity igniting in the dim light. "Are you able to decipher these?" Dylan spoke with pride. "Ethan taught us all. He declares that knowledge surpasses money when it comes to survival." With a deliberate motion, Alexander extended a simplified astronomy book toward him, the pages whispering secrets of the cosmos waiting to be uncovered. "Begin with this one." As the first week drew to a close, a pattern began to take shape. Amidst the turmoil and unease, a strange sense of familiarity emerged, weaving itself into the fabric of daily life. The boys pushed the limits at every turn. The dinner, once a simple gathering, ignited a storm of tension. "I'm not eating this," Lucas declared, his voice cutting through the air as he pushed away the perfectly prepared salmon, a look of defiance etched across his face. "You will eat what's served," Alexander declared with unwavering authority. "We never chose to be here," Ethan shot back, his voice laced with defiance. "Yet here you stand, clad in fresh garments, sheltered beneath a sturdy roof." A heavy silence enveloped the room. Then Dylan spoke, his voice barely a whisper. "When we were last offered food without charge, it ended with the police knocking at our door while we slept, unaware of the storm brewing outside. The revelation, pure and untainted, lingered in the air, heavy with unspoken truths." With a decisive clatter, Alexander set down his fork, the sound echoing in the charged silence of the room. "That one happened here," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper, yet heavy with conviction. "I swear it." Dylan's head dipped slightly, a weight of unspoken thoughts pressing down on him. "I understand. You are unwell. We hold the power here, and you know it." Alexander's gaze was fixed, unblinking, as if the world around him had faded away. "What leads you to believe that I'm unwell? The sanctuary of remedies hidden behind the cabinet door, the way you flinch at times, the documents you conceal as we enter." Dylan shrugged, a flicker of indifference crossing his face as he weighed the moment in silence. Many believe that children are oblivious to the world around them. The other boys shifted uneasily, their expressions revealing a mix of discomfort and resignation. They were aware. "Was that the reason you chose to remain?" Alexander's voice cut through the air, drawing the attention of everyone present. "Pity," Ethan replied, his street-hardened gaze momentarily revealing a flicker of vulnerability. "We lingered, drawn to you, the first soul who sought nothing from us, even if it was only because your time was slipping away." The raw truth shattered the fragile atmosphere, leaving an unsettling silence in its wake. Alexander's laughter erupted, a sound so genuine that it caught him off guard. "At least we're being honest now," he said, a flicker of resolve in his eyes. That night, an unsettling aura enveloped the mansion, as if it had awakened from a long slumber, whispering secrets in the shadows. It stood on the edge of familiarity, a space that had transcended mere walls and roof, evolving into something more profound, a sanctuary of memories and whispers. In the stillness of the night, Alexander lay wide awake, his senses heightened as he absorbed the sporadic footsteps and hushed whispers that sliced through the silence, shattering the tranquility of his cherished solitude. A chilling dread enveloped the air. It was a breathtaking experience. The news shattered the calm, racing through the air with a speed that caught Alexander completely off guard. The New York Finance Tribune blared a headline that sent shockwaves through the city. "Terminal billionaire adopts 5 street urchins." As dawn broke, his phone erupted with a relentless chorus of ringing. "Ignore them," Alexander commanded his household staff, his fingers deftly adjusting Dylan's bow tie, the tension in the air palpable. All 5 boys stood in their tailored suits, the fabric clinging to their street-hardened frames, a stark contrast to the polished surroundings that felt foreign to them. "Why must we endure this event once more?" Thomas tugged at his collar, a flicker of unease crossing his face. "Because," Alexander said, his voice steady and calm, "the annual Children's Hospital benefit holds great significance, and whispers of it are spreading." Ethan's voice cut through the air, a stark declaration that hung heavy with unspoken weight. "About us," he said, his tone devoid of warmth. Alexander locked eyes with him, a silent challenge hanging in the air between them. "Indeed, I yearn for them to witness the world through my eyes." The grand ballroom of the Waldorf Astoria shimmered with the allure of Manhattan's elite, each figure a tapestry of ambition and intrigue. Whispers faded into silence as Alexander strode in, flanked by a lively group of children. Then the whispers erupted, barely hidden behind elegantly manicured hands and glimmering crystal champagne flutes. "Morgan has spiraled into mad. A terminal diagnosis weaves a tapestry of strange transformations. A desperate ploy for attention before he meets his end. The animals will ravage his estate, leaving chaos in their wake." Curtis Lawson, the cunning CEO of Lawson Global and Alexander's fiercest rival, advanced with a smile that dripped with predatory intent. "Alexander, how generous of you to unveil your project tonight." Alexander sensed the tension radiating from Ethan, his body rigid and unyielding beside him. "They are my sons, Curtis." It was more than just a project. Lawson's smile was a mere facade, failing to ignite the depths of his eyes. "Absolutely. Yet, one can't help but question whether the Morgan Investments Board echoes your fatherly fervor, particularly in light of your health worries." "My health is my empire. But the leadership of a public company is a matter that concerns us all." Lawson pivoted sharply to face the boys. "What are your thoughts, street entrepreneurs, on the world of high finance? Have you stumbled upon anything valuable enough to keep yet?" Just as Alexander prepared to act, Ethan surged ahead, determination etched on his face. "Indeed, sir. I have been delving into the depths of Mr. Morgan's quarterly reports. The debt-to-equity ratio of your company casts a shadow of concern when measured against the benchmarks of the industry." A heavy silence enveloped them, thick and palpable. "Mind your words, young one. You are an intruder in this place. Neither does most of your portfolio's performance," Ethan replied, his voice steady and unyielding. A woman adorned in shimmering diamonds drew in a sharp breath, her eyes wide with astonishment. Lawson's hand quivered, a silent storm brewing within him, as if he were on the brink of unleashing his fury upon Ethan. Alexander wove his way through the crowd, each step deliberate and charged with purpose. "My son possesses an extraordinary gift for numbers," Alexander declared, his voice filled with conviction. The term son carries a weight of meaning, echoing through the corridors of time and emotion. "Maybe you should pay attention," Lawson taunted, a smirk playing on his lips. "It's evident that your sons possess a remarkable gift for manipulation." The air is thick with unspoken truths, and the weight of understanding hangs heavy over the crowd. "The end is near, Morgan. These gutter rats have ensnared you, weaving a web of deceit that has led you to relinquish everything you've painstakingly built." With a sudden burst of energy, Tyler lunged forward, but in a heartbeat, his twin intercepted him, their connection palpable in the charged air. "Do not speak of him in such a way." Silence enveloped the room, thick and palpable, as if the very air held its breath. Every gaze was fixed upon them, a palpable tension hanging in the air. "I think," Alexander said, his voice steady and chilling, "we will set off at dawn. Gather around, lads." As they navigated through the dispersing throng, young Dylan abruptly halted, spinning around to face Lawson and the assembled elite. "You believe we're taking advantage of him just because he's dying," the small boy said, his voice steady and unwavering. "Yet it was you who abandoned him in his time of need, leaving him to face the darkness alone, as illness took hold." The truth lingered in the atmosphere, shimmering like fragile glass. Silence enveloped the air as Alexander led his newfound family away from the grandeur of the ballroom. Inside the limousine, Alexander braced himself for a storm of anger, maybe even tears. The silence hung heavy in the air, thick with anticipation, until Lucas broke it with a question that pierced through the stillness. "Do you truly care about the opinions of those people?" Alexander pondered deeply, the weight of his thoughts pressing heavily upon him. "Once, I felt that way deeply. What comes next?" He gazed upon the 5 fierce, loyal children who had stood by him, their unwavering courage a testament to their bond. It was him, not his wealth, that captivated her. It hit him with the force of a thunderclap. "In this moment, your thoughts hold weight like never before, every single one of you." The boys exchanged furtive glances, a silent communication crackling between them. In the shadows of the bustling streets, they forged a bond that transcended words. At last, Ethan's voice broke the silence, echoing the thoughts of everyone present. "Then we believe it's us against them," he said, his voice steady yet charged with an unspoken tension. "We will not be defeated." Alexander Morgan had never known the sting of defeat. The sting of humiliation at the charity gala had sparked a fire deep within him. A fierce resolve burned within him, a relentless drive to show that his boys were worthy of respect, not disdain. "We're hosting a dinner party," he declared, his voice slicing through the morning calm like a knife. 1 week later, the most powerful figures in Manhattan are about to arrive. The boys shot each other wary looks, uncertainty hanging thick in the air. Why is it that the shadows whisper secrets, and the air thickens with unspoken questions? Why does the heart race at the edge of the unknown, yearning for answers that dance just beyond reach? Why? The very essence of curiosity pulses, igniting a fire within that demands to be quenched. Why? The question lingers, heavy with anticipation, beckoning the brave to seek the truth hidden in the depths of mystery. Lucas inquired, his artistic hands fidgeting as they anxiously adjusted the silverware before him. Oh, it was unmistakable. Their disdain for us hung in the air like a thick fog, suffocating and palpable. In this world, Alexander explained, respect is earned. At times, it's about shattering expectations and defying the odds. In the span of just 2 weeks, the mansion morphed into a relentless training ground, each room echoing with the sounds of determination and grit. With an air of authority, Alexander enlisted the city's most esteemed etiquette coach, a formidable French woman known as Madame Beaumont, who strode into their lives with the unwavering discipline of a drill sergeant. With his back straightened, Dylan stood tall. Thomas, the knife glinted ominously to your right. To approach Tyler is not to simply walk up. It is to request the passing of the salt, a subtle invitation into his world. The boys braved a relentless barrage of lessons on the art of dining, the intricacies of conversation, and the delicate dance of social etiquette. They honed their introductions, committing to memory the intricate backgrounds of the guests they anticipated. Alexander had suits custom-tailored for each of them, his heart swelling with an unexpected pride as he observed their gradual transformation. This is ridiculous, Ethan muttered under his breath as he fidgeted with his cufflinks during their final rehearsal. Acceptance will forever elude us. It's not about acceptance, Alexander replied, the truth of his words striking him with unexpected force. It revolves around the essence of dignity. It's about proving that you have a rightful place, no matter where your journey takes you. The night of the dinner descended upon them, shrouded in an air of anticipation. The mansion shimmered with an otherworldly glow. Every table was a canvas, adorned with exquisite flower arrangements that captivated the eye and stirred the soul. The world-renowned chef they had enlisted crafted a 7-course meal, a culinary masterpiece that promised to captivate even the most discerning of palates. 7 o'clock ticked by, followed by the slow crawl to 7:30. As the clock struck 8, a mere 6 couples had graced the gathering, a stark contrast to the 30 invitations sent out into the night. Alexander felt the sting of the calculated insult wash over him, sharp and unmistakable. Maybe it was the traffic, the housekeeper ventured, but the pity in her eyes spoke volumes. The handful of attendees wore their disdain like a badge, their expressions a silent storm brewing beneath the surface. Silence fell like a heavy curtain as the boys drew near. Questions pierced the air, aimed squarely at Alexander, as though his sons had vanished into thin air. As Lucas's hand brushed against the edge of the table, the water glass teetered precariously before crashing to the floor. The laughter that followed was barely masked, a chorus of muffled snickers echoing in the charged atmosphere. The moment of reckoning had arrived. As the evening unfolded, Regina Whitfield, the elegant wife of a powerful hedge fund manager, found herself in a moment of chaos when a glass of deep red wine slipped from her grasp, splattering across Lucas's pristine new suit. "Oh my," she uttered, her voice devoid of any trace of regret. "What a blunder on my part, yet exquisite fabrics are squandered on those unaccustomed to their touch." Alexander caught a glimpse of the pain that flickered in Lucas's eyes, a fleeting moment before the boy cloaked it with the cold indifference of one who had learned to survive in a world of harshness. Just as he was about to step in, he caught the sound of Whitfield's husband conversing with another guest. "Morgan's little deathbed charity project unfolds like a captivating drama, doesn't it? Curious how swiftly these cunning street rats will strip his accounts bare once he's out of the picture." Time itself appeared to come to a standstill within the confines of the room. Alexander scanned the room, his heart pounding as he took in the sneering faces that surrounded him, their barely concealed contempt hanging thick in the air. Then his gaze locked onto his boys, 5 children striving with all their might to become what others desired, battling for a place they should never have had to struggle for. Deep within Alexander Morgan, the merciless tycoon who had obliterated rivals without a second thought, a transformation began, a fracture that reshaped him into something far more formidable. He stood, his glass clinking softly as he sought their attention. "I want to thank you all for coming tonight," he declared, his voice unwavering, resonating with a quiet intensity that filled the room. "Your presence has been a profound journey of discovery for both my sons and me." Bewildered eyes darted around the table, each gaze heavy with unspoken questions. "It was with a heavy heart that I brought you here, believing that your approval was the key to my salvation. That was something my boys truly needed." With a firm grip, Alexander's hand settled on Dylan's shoulder, a silent connection sparking between them. I was mistaken. Tonight unveiled a stark truth. Beneath the finest suits of Manhattan lurk the most desperate souls. Gasps echoed through the room, a wave of shock sweeping over the crowd. This dinner has come to an end, Alexander declared, his voice echoing through the dimly lit room. James will escort you out. Once the shocked guests had left the grand hall, Morgan remained seated in silence at the vast dining table, the echoes of their departure lingering in the air. As Alexander gazed upon their downcast expressions, an overwhelming surge of protectiveness surged within him, a feeling so intense and unfamiliar that it ignited a fire in his soul. No, he declared, with unwavering resolve. They had faltered. They were blind to the truth that lay before me. What is that? Thomas inquired. Alexander's voice lowered, yet it carried an undeniable conviction. 5 remarkable boys, each having triumphed over unimaginable challenges, stood on the brink of extraordinary possibilities. He paused, the weight of their stories hanging in the air. We will forge those opportunities with our own hands. At that moment, as he stepped into his home, a rare sight unfolded before him. All 5 boys beamed at him in unison, their smiles lighting up the room. A small miracle that held greater significance than any business deal he had ever sealed. The mansion was reborn, its very essence shifting in the shadows. Alexander, a man accustomed to leaving home affairs to his staff, suddenly found himself immersed in the intricate task of crafting a sanctuary for his new family. The once formal sitting room transformed into a cozy haven, where oversized couches invited warmth and camaraderie. The seldom visited kitchen transformed into a bustling arena, where all 6 of them embarked on a culinary adventure, each grappling with the art of cooking in their own unique way, with results that ranged from delightful to disastrous. Once again, the piercing wail of the smoke alarm shattered the silence, marking the 3rd time we had ignited chaos in our home. Tyler's laughter echoed through the kitchen, a bright sound that cut through the lingering aroma of their daring lasagna experiment. The fire department knows us by name now, Thomas remarked, swiping a smear of sauce from his cheek. Even Alexander found himself swept up in the laughter, a sound that echoed through the halls of a house that had long been shrouded in silence. As the weeks unfolded, Alexander began to discern the unique passions of each boy, their interests blossoming like vibrant flowers in the spring. On a still afternoon in his study, he watched as Ethan immersed himself in a sea of financial reports. Do you grasp the meaning behind those? Really? Alexander inquired, his voice laced with genuine astonishment. Ethan's gaze remained fixed on the ground as he nodded, lost in his thoughts. Hey, while numbers follow a clear logic, the intricacies of human behavior remain a perplexing enigma. In a calculated move, Alexander enlisted the help of a former colleague, a brilliant mathematical prodigy who had transformed into a savvy investment guru, to mentor Ethan. The boys' remarkable talent left them both in awe. The twins unveiled their deep-seated fascination with technology as Alexander stumbled upon them, engrossed in the intricate dance of dismantling and reassembling his spare laptop. We can put it back, they exclaimed, their voices rising in a fervent chorus. I'm counting on it, Alexander replied, his voice steady, then added, in the shadowy depths of the East Wing lies an engineering lab, a realm of innovation and mystery waiting to be uncovered. It belongs to you now. Lucas's artistic talent blossomed as his doodles breathed life into scrap paper, turning mundane sheets into captivating masterpieces. With a fire in his heart, Alexander enlisted the guidance of a masterful artist, witnessing with a swell of pride as Lucas's confidence blossomed with every stroke of his pencil. For Dylan, the youngest of them all, it was the world of books that captivated him, particularly those that delved into the realms of science and medicine. One fateful night, Alexander stumbled upon him, engulfed in a sea of medical texts from the library, the dim light casting shadows that danced around the room. Are you able to decipher these? With a furrowed brow, Alexander reached for the intricate anatomy book, its pages whispering secrets of the human body. What, most of it, Dylan replied, his voice barely above a whisper, as if the weight of his words could shatter the silence that enveloped them. The body operates like a finely tuned machine. To mend what is shattered, one must first grasp the intricacies of its components. Alexander's eyebrow arched, a flicker of intrigue dancing across his face. Is that truly the case? The boy nodded, his expression grave and resolute. Just like you. In the depths of despair, you find yourself shattered. Yet a flicker of hope whispers that this fracture may not be your final state. The seemingly innocent comment struck Alexander like a thunderclap, reverberating through his mind with an intensity that left him reeling. As his health slipped away, fatigue wrapped around him like a heavy shroud, and pain clawed at him, demanding stronger medication. He found himself making preparations for the inevitable, each moment steeped in a haunting awareness of what was to come. His lawyers had meticulously finalized the adoption and revised his will, safeguarding the future of the boys with unwavering certainty. Yet he had embraced his destiny until this very moment. Under the cloak of darkness, Alexander reached out to experts scattered across the globe, his urgency palpable in every ring of the phone. As dawn broke, a dedicated team of tutors gathered, each one not only skilled in academics but also deeply attuned to the unique passions of every boy. The mansion pulsed with a vibrant energy as new learning spaces emerged and schedules were meticulously crafted. What drives you to undertake this path? Ethan inquired one evening, discovering Alexander poring over their educational plans, his fatigue evident yet overshadowed by determination. Alexander pondered the question, his mind racing with possibilities. 3 months ago he stood in silence, lost in uncertainty, with no answer to be found. Now he possessed 5. Time is precious, he stated, his voice steady and resolute. I yearn to share every piece of my soul with you, to offer you the depths of my being. What remained unspoken, what he struggled to confront, was the way these 5 street-hardened boys had ignited a spark within him that he believed had perished alongside his wife. Hope flickered like a distant star, a beacon in the vast expanse of darkness. Destiny. A flicker of hope ignited within him, a delicate conviction that he might have unearthed something truly worth battling for. As the night deepened, a relentless pain clawed at Alexander, refusing to let him find solace in sleep. He drifted toward the kitchen, thirst gnawing at him, seeking water and medication. But as he reached for the tap, a chill ran down his spine, halting him in his tracks at the faint murmur of hushed voices drifting from the library. At 3 a.m, the stillness of the night should have enveloped all 5 boys in slumber. With stealthy steps, he neared the ajar door, his heart racing as he braced himself to unleash a torrent of reprimands for their audacious breach of curfew. What unfolded before his eyes would alter the course of his life forever. Alexander lingered in the doorway, a storm of anger brewing within him at the shattered curfew. The library was shrouded in shadows, yet he could make out the silhouettes of 5 boys huddled around a massive oak table, engulfed by towering stacks of books and scattered papers. Every surface was a chaotic tapestry of medical journals, financial reports, and intricate diagrams, each whispering secrets of their own. He advanced, a storm brewing in his chest, poised to unleash his fury upon them. As Dylan's small voice pierced the silence, it became clear that the treatment protocol required a crucial modification. This combination offers a glimmer of hope for his type of cancer, promising a more favorable response. Do you see it now? The child's small finger traced the intricate lines of a medical chart, a chart that sent a shiver down Alexander's spine, for he recognized it all too well from the sterile walls of his oncologist's office. We'll need access to experimental treatments, Ethan said, his pen racing across the page, numbers and formulas swirling in a chaotic dance of urgency. It demands a price, fortunes await. We can generate this using the algorithm, Thomas declared, his voice steady, as Tyler nodded in fervent agreement. When you step back and gaze into the vast expanse of the market, a tapestry of patterns begins to emerge, revealing a rhythm that is both captivating and inevitable. Lucas was lost in the world of his sketching, the pencil gliding across the paper as if it were a portal to another realm. Alexander's gaze fell upon a meticulously crafted diagram, revealing the intricate design of what seemed to be a groundbreaking medical device. A sense of confusion hung in the air, thick and palpable. What could possibly be unfolding in this moment? The question lingered, heavy with anticipation. Alexander's voice sliced through the room, sharp and commanding. 5 heads jerked upward, expressions locked in a haunting blend of guilt and terror. Silence enveloped the room, a heavy pause where words dared not tread. Then Ethan rose to his feet, each movement deliberate and heavy with anticipation. "We hold the key to your salvation." Alexander's gaze locked onto the source of the sound, his heart racing as disbelief washed over him. Had he truly heard what he thought he had? "What did you just say?" Dylan crept forward, the weight of the folder pressing against his chest, each step heavy with anticipation. "The shadow of your cancer looms large. It's bold and relentless, yet a new avenue lies ahead that your doctors have yet to explore." Alexander's gaze swept over the folder, then lingered on each boy, one by one, as tension hung thick in the air. "How could you even dare?" "We're not what people believe us to be," Ethan interjected, his voice cutting through the tension like a knife. "Not a single one among us." One by one, they unveiled their truths. Ethan had immersed himself in the world of finance, poring over discarded Wall Street journals, honing an uncanny knack for deciphering patterns and making predictions that seemed almost otherworldly. Since the age of 7, the twins had immersed themselves in the world of discarded electronics, tirelessly fixing and reprogramming the forgotten devices that others had cast aside. Lucas possessed an extraordinary gift, able to replicate anything he laid his eyes upon with flawless precision, even the most intricate medical illustrations that danced before his mind's eye. In the dimly lit hospital waiting rooms, Dylan, the youngest of them all, immersed himself in medical texts, the pages whispering secrets of healing as he anxiously awaited the free clinic's care for the ailments that haunted their lives. Unforgiving streets. Our paths crossed in the most unexpected way, Ethan revealed, drawn together by the very differences that set us apart. In a world where shadows loom and danger lurks at every corner, kids like us know that survival is a team effort. Alone, we are vulnerable. Together, we are unstoppable. Alexander collapsed into the chair, the weight of the world pressing down on him. "So, you were aware of my identity." In the shadows of that alley, our eyes met, and in that moment, Ethan confessed, "We knew you. Your photograph graced the business section just yesterday. Did you orchestrate all of this?" Alexander was engulfed by a suffocating tide of disappointment. Was it all just a calculation? Dylan's small hand brushed against his, a fleeting connection that sent a shiver down his spine. "We never intended for you to stumble upon us. Yet, when you finally took that step..." The boy paused, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. "In that moment, we glimpsed an opportunity. More than mere refuge, it served a purpose of great significance. Crucial," Alexander reverberated. "Your money has the power to ignite research that could otherwise languish for decades," Tyler declared, his voice charged with urgency. "And you can provide us with the resources we need to bring our ideas to life," Thomas urged, his voice filled with determination. "Concepts that have the potential to transform lives, just like you." Lucas's voice drifted through the air, a mere whisper that seemed to hang in the silence. Alexander's gaze swept over the sprawling work laid out before him, each piece whispering secrets and stories waiting to be uncovered. The intricate calculations, the groundbreaking strategies, the dazzling genius concealed behind 5 pairs of watchful eyes. "What compels you to fight for my survival? Why not simply bide your time for the inheritance to come your way?" The boys locked eyes, a silent understanding passing between them. At last, Ethan found his voice, echoing the thoughts of everyone present. "Because you were the first to gaze upon us and recognize something truly worth holding on to." The sheer simplicity of the answer shattered something deep within Alexander's chest. These children, sharp and cunning yet deeply scarred, had been scheming to rescue him, all the while he was plotting his own end. "Show me," Alexander said, brushing away the unexpected moisture that threatened to spill from his eyes. "Unveil it all to me." As the first light of dawn crept over Manhattan, 6 silhouettes loomed over the library table, their shadows intertwining as they conspired against the very essence of death. As dawn broke, casting a pale light over the city, Alexander summoned his medical team for an urgent meeting, the weight of their recent discovery heavy in the air. The doctors leaned in, their expressions a mix of curiosity and doubt, as he laid out the unconventional treatment plan, deliberately leaving out the fact that its origins were rooted in the innocent imagination of a child. "They promised to look into it," Dylan said, his voice laced with frustration as Alexander stepped through the door. The words dripped with a patronizing tone, reminiscent of those who offer false hope to terminal patients, clinging to the last threads of possibility, knowing deep down that help would never come. They believe you're clinging to hope, teetering on the edge of despair. I am desperate, Alexander admitted, his voice barely above a whisper as he sank into the depths of his chair, the weight of his words hanging heavy in the air. The pain had intensified, gnawing at him like a relentless specter, a haunting reminder of the fleeting moments slipping through his fingers. Then we do it ourselves, Ethan declared, his street-hardened confidence unyielding, a fire igniting in his eyes. We possess the means. As the days unfolded, Alexander stood in awe, witnessing the metamorphosis of his makeshift family as they breathed life into their ambitious endeavor, which they had named Project Phoenix. The East Wing transformed into a realm of discovery, where Dylan and Lucas delved into the intricacies of treatment protocols, their minds ignited with the thrill of innovation. In the shadows of his vast network, Alexander orchestrated a clandestine operation to secure experimental medications, leveraging his far-reaching global connections. In the shadows of their bustling lives, Ethan and the twins forged a groundbreaking market prediction algorithm, one that would change everything. With the twins' programming prowess and Ethan's extraordinary financial intuition, Alexander presented historical data from Morgan Investments, amazed as they swiftly uncovered patterns that had slipped past his most skilled analysts. For the first time since his diagnosis, a thrilling and perilous emotion began to stir within Alexander: hope. The fleeting moment was destined to fade away. The first ominous signal arrived in the form of a call from Diane Pembroke, the formidable chair of Morgan Investments' board of directors. "Alexander," she began, her voice steady yet laced with urgency. "The board is concerned. Board is concerned." Whispers of innocence and laughter echo through the air, a symphony of youthful exuberance that dances on the edge of adventure. The moment of adoption arrived, a pivotal turning point that would forever alter the course of lives intertwined by fate. Your well-being. Shareholders stand at the precipice of opportunity. Uneasy. "My personal life is none of the board's concern," Alexander replied, his voice icy and unyielding. In the shadow of a terminal illness, the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company spirals into a whirlwind of erratic decisions, threatening to unravel everything built over years of hard work. The following day brought a chilling development as a social worker arrived, sent for an anonymous welfare check on the boys. Her questions pierced the air, each one laced with an undercurrent of doubt. "Do you feel safe here?" she whispered to Dylan, glancing cautiously at Alexander, ensuring he remained oblivious to their exchange. With an unexpected calmness, the boy replied, "Safer than I've ever been." As the social worker departed, a chilling realization washed over Alexander. He understood the looming danger that followed in her wake. A pair of eyes lingered in the shadows, observing every move, a figure shrouded in power. As the clock ticked down to the scheduled video meeting, anticipation hung thick in the air among his executive team, each member acutely aware that the final confirmation was about to unfold. For a fleeting moment, his screen flickered to life. A message from his CFO to Curtis Lawson, delving into the intricate web of succession planning and the tantalizing prospects of acquisition opportunities that lie ahead. "They're circling like vultures," Alexander warned the boys that evening. "The moment I'm out of the picture, whether incapacitated or dead, Lawson is poised to strike for a hostile takeover," Ethan declared, his voice cutting through the tension like a knife. Alexander nodded, a shadow of determination crossing his face. From the very beginning, he had his sights set on Morgan Investments, a prize that seemed just out of reach. Now he believes it is tantalizingly close. The twins locked eyes, a silent understanding passing between them. "We checked our system," Tyler said, his voice steady but laced with an undercurrent of tension. "Someone has been probing the mansion's security network and your private servers," Thomas revealed, a shadow of concern crossing his face. "Intricate endeavors." Alexander's phone buzzed to life, the name of his head of security flashing ominously on the screen. "Sir, strange occurrences have been reported near the boundaries of the residence." Unmarked vehicles loomed in the shadows, their presence a silent watch, far removed from the badge and uniform of law enforcement. As the call came to a close, Alexander turned to confront his sons. "A shadow looms over our efforts, a presence that disapproves of our every move." They have no idea what we're up to, Lucas protested, his voice laced with urgency. Indeed, a shadow crossed Alexander's face. Yet, a shadow of doubt lingers in their minds. My unpredictable actions jeopardize their carefully laid schemes. Under the cloak of darkness, Alexander summoned his family to the fortified library, a sanctuary of secrets and shadows. The 5 boys leaned in closer, their eyes wide with anticipation, as he revealed the ominous threats looming on the horizon. We find ourselves battling on numerous fronts now, he revealed. At the heart of it all lies my health, the pivotal struggle that defines my journey. Next, the realm of corporate governance unfolds. They will attempt to oust me from my position as CEO, asserting that I am mentally unfit. The moment of adoption itself unfolded like a pivotal chapter in a gripping tale. They will test the very limits of my strength as a protector. And fourth, Ethan pressed on, the algorithm loomed large. If they only knew what we were conjuring. Alexander nodded knowingly. A force that could transform the very fabric of market prediction, valued at billions. We'll take it, the twins declared in unison, their eyes gleaming with mischief. Or destroy it, Lucas added, his voice laced with a chilling finality. After a long silence, Dylan, who had been absorbing every word, finally broke the stillness with his voice. We must split our forces to achieve victory. Every gaze in the room fixated on the youngest boy. What do you mean? Alexander asked, his brow furrowing in confusion. Dylan revealed, you've imparted your wisdom on strategy to us. In the face of overwhelming odds, sow chaos among your foes. A slow smile crept across Alexander's face, hinting at secrets untold and adventures yet to unfold. Splinter their focus. As the tension mounted, Ethan's instincts kicked in, his sharp mind racing with strategies as he watched them prepare to clash. As the night deepened, the plan began to crystallize, each detail weaving together in the shadows. In a world where desperation once ruled their lives, the 6 Morgans stood united, their bond now forged in something far more powerful. Together they meticulously plotted their defense, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With fervor, Alexander plunged into a grand charitable initiative, skillfully diverting the gaze of the public from their clandestine endeavors. In a masterful play of deception, they would weave a web of misinformation, pitting Lawson against rival corporate raiders, igniting chaos within the ranks of those who preyed on the vulnerable. Above all, they would propel Project Phoenix into a new era of urgency and ambition. Dylan's experimental treatment was set to commence without delay, as Ethan and the twins prepared to unleash the early iterations of their algorithm, a daring move to conjure the funds essential for deeper exploration. It's dangerous, Alexander warned, his voice low and urgent. This is it, the final moment for each of you to turn back and escape the inevitable. No matter what fate befalls me, I will ensure that you have safe and comfortable lives. Come what may. The boys shared glances, a wordless exchange that still, at times, left him on the outside looking in. Then, one by one, they pressed their hands onto the table, a silent pact forming in the air around them. Family doesn't just walk away, Ethan declared, his voice steady, a weight of conviction behind every word. Alexander's hand enveloped theirs, a surge of warmth radiating from their small yet resilient fingers, igniting a connection that pulsed with unspoken promise. Amidst the shadows of New York's unforgiving streets, a group of children, each one a testament to resilience against abandonment and poverty, had made a choice. They had chosen him, a man on the brink of death, who had spent his life blind to the profound power of connection, united as one. Unbeknownst to them, a tiny red light pulsed steadily on Alexander's private phone, a silent sentinel revealing that every whispered secret had been captured, every word laid bare for unseen ears. As dawn broke, a fresh wave of determination surged through the air. Alexander's mansion, once a dazzling emblem of opulence yet eerily silent, had morphed into a clandestine center of intrigue. What was once a mere storage space, filled with forgotten relics and mechanical hums, transformed into the pulsating heart of an operation they had come to name Project Phoenix. Security Protocol Alpha engaged, Thomas declared, his fingers dancing over the keyboard with urgency. The mansion's systems stood alone, severed from the outside world, shrouded in an eerie silence that whispered secrets of its own. "Cellular dampening fields are now active," Tyler announced, his voice steady yet laced with urgency. Silence enveloped us, a thick shroud of isolation, with no signals penetrating the void. Only our secured channels remained as the sole lifeline to the outside world. Alexander stood transfixed, his heart swelling with a blend of pride and awe. In a mere 3 days, the twins had forged an impenetrable technological fortress around the mansion, meticulously assembling components sourced through a web of shadowy shell companies, all to elude the watchful eyes of the world. Ethan reported that the physical security had been significantly enhanced. "I've meticulously vetted and replaced half the security team, bringing individuals completely unconnected to your existing structure." "What about the treatment?" With a swift turn, Alexander directed his gaze toward Dylan and Lucas, his expression a mix of curiosity and urgency. Dylan unfurled the intricate medical charts, each line and curve whispering secrets of the human body. "Today marks the dawn of Phase 1. The altered protocol strikes at the heart of cancer cells, all the while safeguarding the vital strength of the immune system." He gazed upward, his eyes holding a wisdom far beyond his tender age. "The darkness will envelop you, tightening its grip before the light begins to break through." "I trust you," Alexander said, his voice steady and unwavering. Lucas transformed the neglected sunroom into a sanctuary for healing, a space where light danced through the glass, illuminating the path to recovery. Sunlight poured into the room, illuminating the medical bed that dominated the space, encircled by an array of equipment that felt both recognizable and eerily altered. With a flick of his wrist, Lucas unveiled a series of intricate diagrams, his voice steady and compelling as he described the customized delivery system that lay before them. "Standard protocols dictate the use of waste medication on healthy tissue, yet this method focuses solely on the areas that are truly affected." Alexander lay back on the bed, his heart racing as he rolled up his sleeve, preparing for the first infusion. Dylan meticulously prepared the medication, each movement executed with a skill that would leave even the most seasoned nurse in awe. As Alexander pondered the surreal reality before him, he couldn't shake the unsettling thought of entrusting his very existence to a child, one who should be lost in the innocent world of toys, not wielding the power to calibrate life-saving cancer treatments. "Are you prepared?" Dylan inquired, his voice laced with curiosity. Alexander nodded, a shiver coursing through him as the cool liquid surged into his veins. "As I embark on my treatment journey, Ethan will step into my shoes at the office, carrying the weight of my responsibilities in my absence. The board has no power to stop me from guiding my son through the intricacies of the business." The treatment was merciless. For the next 3 days, Alexander teetered on the edge of reality, his body locked in a fierce battle against the relentless cancer and the brutal onslaught of therapy. The boys stood vigil at his bedside, each taking turns to watch over him, their eyes fixed on the rhythmic beeping of the machines, ready to adjust medications at a moment's notice. Amidst the swirling haze of agony and the numbing effects of medication, Alexander caught snippets of their voices. They clashed over treatment protocols, recited financial reports with a detached urgency, and shared their innermost hopes and fears, weaving a tapestry of emotion around him. On the 4th day, Alexander stirred from his slumber, his eyes fluttering open to reveal the chaotic scene before him. All 5 boys lay sprawled across his room, each contorted into a peculiar and uncomfortable position, lost in their dreams. Even in the depths of his frailty, a smile broke through, defying the shadows that clung to him. When did these street-hardened children seize the very core of his existence? With the first phase of treatment drawing to a close, the financial engine of Project Phoenix roared to life, propelling the initiative into its next chapter. Ethan found himself at Morgan Investments each day, a silent observer soaking up knowledge while stealthily piecing together the intricate puzzle of Lawson's takeover ambitions. During their evening strategy session, Ethan revealed that he was approaching key shareholders, presenting them with enticing premium buyouts that hinged on a complete board reorganization. "Translation: rid me of this burden," Alexander declared, his voice steady despite the lingering weakness that clung to him. In the shadows, the EI loomed, a silent force waiting to unleash its power. "The algorithm is exceeding expectations," Tyler declared, a spark of pride lighting up his eyes. In a mere span of 10 days, the test portfolio has surged to an impressive 18% return. Thomas summoned intricate graphs from the depths of their secure server, each line and curve whispering secrets waiting to be uncovered. The pattern detection is coming alive. We can glimpse the tides of the market before they crash upon us. How long until we can deploy at full scale? Alexander asked, his voice laced with urgency. 2 weeks, the twins declared in perfect harmony. Perhaps even less. That night, as Alexander lay in bed, contemplating their progress, a gentle knock echoed through the stillness. Eleanor Hayes, his steadfast executive assistant for 2 decades, strode in, her arms laden with files that whispered of secrets and untold stories. "The documents you requested, sir," she said, her voice steady as she placed them beside him, the weight of their contents hanging in the air. Her gaze was drawn to the array of medical equipment that encircled his bed, each device a silent witness to the battle unfolding within. The board leans in, their eyes sharp and focused, probing for answers that linger just out of reach. Lawson is on the move, his every step charged with purpose. "Let him," Alexander replied, his voice steady, a hint of resolve flickering in his eyes. "All is unfolding precisely as envisioned." Eleanor paused, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. Uncertainty flickering in her eyes. Could it really be true? Are these children truly aiding in your treatment? Alexander's gaze lingered on the woman before him, the one who had stood by his side as his most trusted ally for the past 20 years. "They're not just helping, Eleanor. They're transforming everything. They are my lifeline, pulling me back from the brink." Her expression was a mask, concealing the tempest within. "I hope you know what you're doing, Alexander," she whispered, her voice laced with a mix of concern and anticipation. Once she departed, a haunting unease settled in the air, refusing to fade away. Alexander's hand shot out toward the bedside table, fingers brushing against the cool surface, but his secure phone was nowhere to be found. A sense of unease settled in as he realized it had vanished into thin air. A creeping sense of dread morphed into a jarring panic. When Alexander's phone vanished, an urgent wave of security measures surged into action. The twins sprang into action, activating the tracking systems with a sense of urgency, while Ethan meticulously interviewed every staff member who had set foot in the treatment room, searching for clues hidden in their words. "Nothing," Ethan reported, his voice thick with frustration. "The tracking indicates it's still within the mansion's shadowy confines, yet we have scoured every inch, leaving no stone unturned. Could it be broken beyond repair?" With a voice barely above a whisper, Alexander inquired, his body still trembling from the aftermath of his treatment. "Our tech doesn't malfunction," Tyler declared, his voice steady and unwavering, a glimmer of certainty in his eyes. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the answer emerged, shrouded in mystery and anticipation. With a surge of urgency, Lucas, having kept a vigilant eye on the mansion's altered security cameras, stormed into Alexander's room. "You have to see this," he urged, pressing a tablet into Alexander's hands. The camera captured the haunting moment as Eleanor Hayes slipped silently into Alexander's room, where he lay unaware in the depths of slumber. With a swift motion, she snatched his phone, capturing images of the confidential documents tied to Project Phoenix. Every item was meticulously returned to its place before she slipped away into the shadows. At what moment did this unfold? "What do you want?" Alexander inquired, his voice barely rising above a whisper, as if the very air around them held secrets too fragile to disturb. In the depths of the night, following her visit, Lucas finally responded. "There's more," Dylan said, his voice low as he stepped forward, the weight of his words hanging in the air. A chilling revelation emerged from the secure server. Someone had infiltrated our treatment protocols, and the breach originated from within the mansion itself. Alexander shut his eyes for a fleeting moment. 2 decades of unwavering loyalty, or so he had believed. Seek her out, at this very moment. They stumbled upon Eleanor in her office at Morgan Investments, her demeanor serene, engrossed in her work, as if the world outside had ceased to exist. As security guided her to the secluded conference room, where Alexander awaited, she maintained an unwavering composure, her heart racing beneath the surface. "Why?" Alexander inquired with a straightforwardness that belied the weight of his question. Eleanor's polished facade shattered, exposing the deep-seated bitterness that lay beneath. 23 years, Alexander. For 23 years, I have poured my life into you, offering my unwavering loyalty and generous compensation. Wealth, her laughter echoed, sharp and unforgiving. My desires reached far beyond mere wealth. I craved the spotlight, the acknowledgement that had always eluded me. Alliance, a sanctuary beside you. Her voice turned steely. Then you introduce these, the street urchins, shadows flitting through the alleys, embody a world of grit and survival. Claim them as your legacy. Grant them entry to the treasures I toiled for over the years. The betrayal sliced through the heart like a dagger, leaving a wound that throbbed with the weight of shattered trust. Yet Alexander maintained his composure, his voice unwavering. With whom do you align your efforts? Lawson? Her smile was as frigid as the winter night. Curtis holds loyalty and talent in the highest regard. He has vowed to elevate me to the role of executive vice president once the acquisition is complete. What about the details of my private health information? Insurance, she replied, her voice steady yet laced with an unspoken weight, evidence of your unraveling mind. A dying billionaire places his faith in a group of street children, entrusting them with groundbreaking experimental medical treatments that could change their lives forever. The board will cast you out by the end of... The days unfolded like a tightly woven tapestry, each thread pulling the story forward, a relentless march toward the climax of the week. Alexander leaned forward, anticipation crackling in the air around him. The weight of the moment hung heavy in the air. You've made a serious calculation, Eleanor, he said, his voice low and laced with tension. The brilliance and loyalty of these street children surpasses anything you could ever imagine. Her confidence flickered like a candle in the wind. The moment has passed, and now there's no turning back. Lawson possesses all that he desires. The time has come to bring your little family experiment to a close. We'll see, Alexander replied, his voice steady as he signaled for security, the tension in the air thickening around them. Your employment is hereby terminated, effective immediately. A severance package awaits, shrouded in the shadows of non-disclosure agreements that must be honored. Once she was escorted away, Alexander made his way back home, only to discover the boys already deep in the throes of implementing containment protocols. The twins swiftly dismantled the security breach, their movements precise and calculated, while Ethan meticulously evaluated the extent of the financial devastation that lay before him. With a heavy heart, Ethan reported, she sent Lawson everything. In the shadows of innovation, the treatment protocols emerged, meticulously crafted to navigate the complexities of healing. Early algorithm designs, whispered promises of efficiency, each line of code a step toward a brighter future. Meanwhile, our security setup stood as a vigilant guardian, ready to defend against unseen threats lurking in the digital realm. How dire is the situation? What do you want to know? Alexander inquired, his voice laced with curiosity. It was bad enough, Dylan declared, his voice heavy with the weight of unspoken truths. The treatment timeline hangs by a thread. We must hasten every single thing. Alexander gazed into their anxious expressions, the weight of their concern palpable in the air. Children destined for the thrill of sports or the excitement of video games find themselves ensnared in a dark world of corporate espionage and the looming shadow of terminal illness. For a fleeting moment, uncertainty slithered into the shadows of her mind. Was he being selfish, pulling them into the chaos of his struggles? As if plucking the very words from his mind, Lucas spoke up. Never entertain the thought of surrendering. We understood the dangers, Ethan declared with unwavering conviction. We've battled through tougher times on these streets, Thomas declared, his voice steady and resolute. Tyler's head dipped in a silent affirmation, the weight of the moment hanging in the air. Moreover, she had committed a grave mistake. What is that? What do you want to know? Alexander inquired, his voice laced with curiosity. Dylan's lips curled into a subtle smile, a flicker of warmth in his eyes. She snatched fragments of crucial information, leaving a trail of uncertainty in her wake. In the shadows, we toiled away on decoy protocols, all the while crafting the true treatment in secret, hidden from prying eyes. After a long, dark journey through the shadows of betrayal, a flicker of hope ignited within Alexander for the first time. He's nothing short of extraordinary, The children never cease to astonish him. "Then we strike back," he declared, his voice resonating with determination. In the haunting light of dawn, the weight of Eleanor's betrayal bore down on Alexander Morgan, causing him to crumble under its crushing force. The experimental treatment, a volatile mix of hope and despair, clashed violently with the weight of stress and his already fragile condition, pushing him to the brink. As the urgency of the situation escalated, paramedics were summoned, yet the boys remained resolute in their decision. They demanded a private medical facility, a sanctuary where they could uphold their security measures and adhere to their carefully crafted protocols, far from the prying eyes of the public hospital. "Sir, I must insist you reconsider," Alexander's personal physician urged, his voice laced with urgency as he positioned himself in the dimly lit private wing of the exclusive medical center. "These unconventional treatments are working," Dylan declared, his voice cutting through the tension as he brandished Alexander's latest blood work like a trophy. In just 10 days, the cancer markers plummeted by an astonishing 18%. The doctor gazed at the small boy, a wave of disbelief washing over him. "That can't be real." "Unlikely," Dylan amended. "Far from impossible." With Alexander momentarily out of commission, the boys sprang into action, executing their carefully crafted contingency plan. Ethan stepped into the role of leader, confronting the crisis with a poise and wisdom that belied his mere 15 years. "We must part ways." He spoke of responsibilities, his voice echoing in the sterile confines of Alexander's hospital room. As he turned to his brothers, the weight of the moment heavy in the air. "I'll take charge of Morgan Investments and ensure Lawson stays out of the picture." In the shadows of the digital realm, Tyler and Thomas stand as vigilant guardians, fortifying our virtual stronghold against unseen threats. Lucas wielded the power to shape public perception. Dylan poured every ounce of his attention into Alexander's treatment. Each boy plunged headfirst into the role that awaited him, embracing the challenge with fervor. Ethan strode into the executive floor of Morgan Investments, his custom-tailored suit clinging to him like a second skin, a stark reminder of the streets he came from. The board members who orchestrated Alexander's ousting suddenly found themselves confronted by a teenager, one whose understanding of their business and the intricate legal safeguards Alexander had established was nothing short of extraordinary. Ethan declared, a sense of gravity in his voice as he slid the impressive legal documents across the table. "Mr. Morgan has granted me limited power of attorney during his treatment. Any move to oust him from the CEO position will unleash a storm of legal battles and a swift halt on all executive stock options." As the clock ticked relentlessly, the twins plunged into their relentless quest, fortifying their digital defenses with unwavering determination, all of the while honing their market prediction algorithm to razor-sharp precision. In the shadows of Eleanor's betrayal, a glimmer of hope emerged, revealing an unforeseen silver lining that would change everything. Lawson's technical team found themselves ensnared in a web of complexity, their efforts consumed by the relentless pursuit of unraveling the decoy algorithm, draining precious resources in the process. With a brush in hand and a vision in his heart, Lucas wove a captivating tale that danced through the streets, drawing in all who dared to listen. In collaboration with Alexander's PR team, he unveiled carefully crafted updates that shed light on Alexander's routine treatment and the inspiring mentorship of his extraordinary adopted sons. Images captured the boys as they ventured into children's shelters and engaged in community outreach, sparking a surge of favorable attention that silenced Lawson's insidious whispers questioning Alexander's abilities. Dylan clung to Alexander, never straying far from his side. In the quiet hours between adjusting treatment protocols, he immersed himself in the latest medical journals, seeking knowledge that could change lives. He reached out to a select group of specialists from across the globe, each one meticulously vetted and handsomely rewarded for their unwavering discretion. Their whispered insights held the promise of breakthroughs, secrets that could tip the scales in the battle against illness. The boys' remarkable medical intuition, fueled by an unyielding determination, started to produce results that even the most skeptical medical staff found impossible to dismiss. 1 week into his hospitalization, Alexander slowly opened his eyes, the dim light revealing all 5 boys sprawled across the room, lost in slumber. Laptops flickered softly, papers lay scattered like forgotten dreams, and remnants of half-eaten meals hinted at the long hours they had kept vigil by his side. Even in the depths of his frailty, a smile broke through, defying the shadows that loomed around him. This was the essence of family, a vivid tapestry woven with love and connection. Chaotic yet steadfast, fiercely determined against all odds. "Progress report," he murmured, his voice barely a breath above the silence. Dylan shot awake, heart racing and senses on high alert. "Alexander, your markers have plummeted by 30% now. The modified protocol is proving to be a resounding success, exceeding all expectations." As the others stirred, a wave of relief washed over their weary faces, each line etched with the weight of their struggles. "And what of Lawson?" "What do you want?" Alexander inquired, his voice laced with curiosity. Ethan took a bold step into the unknown, held at bay for the moment. "He's plotting his next move, but we've anticipated every step he takes. The board stands divided." "What about the algorithm?" The twins shared a knowing look, their eyes sparkling with unspoken triumph. With a commanding presence, Tyler declared, "Fully operational. We have amassed a substantial amount of capital, enough to ensure your treatment is covered for years, should the need arise." "What of the people's voice?" With a swift motion, Alexander pivoted to face Lucas. "The tides are turning in our favor," Lucas reported, his voice laced with urgency. "Momentum is building around your community initiatives." Whispers swirl through the crowd, each voice laced with doubt as they ponder Lawson's true intentions. Alexander gazed intently at their faces, these children who had transformed into his purpose, his legacy, his very own family. "We learn from the best," Ethan said, his voice steady and resolute. As Alexander embarked on his arduous journey of recovery, an unyielding determination ignited within him. This had transformed into a battle far beyond mere survival against his illness or the defense of his company. This was a testament to the unbreakable bonds of family, a connection born from the most unexpected of circumstances, capable of weathering any tempest that life threw their way. 2 weeks after Alexander's hospitalization, as he regained his strength with each passing day, the financial markets across the globe started to tremble ominously. What began as subtle shifts soon spiraled into catastrophic declines that swept through various sectors with relentless force. "It's unfolding just as the algorithm foretold," Ethan said, his voice steady yet charged with urgency, as he unfurled a series of charts across Alexander's bed in the dimly lit private medical suite. Amidst a perfect storm of overvalued tech stocks, energy sector vulnerabilities, and banking instability, Alexander delved into the data, captivated by the uncanny precision of the twins' predictive model. "What are our roles in this unfolding drama?" "Secured," Tyler affirmed. 3 days have passed since we secured our assets, moving them to safety amidst the looming chaos. Lawson. "Watson, what do you want to know?" Alexander inquired, his voice laced with curiosity. Thomas's face twisted in a grimace. "Laid bare in a monumental way. He's buried under a mountain of debt in all the wrong places." Wall Street erupted into chaos. Financial networks erupted with chaos, capturing the frantic moments as investors witnessed their fortunes dissolve into thin air. The Morgan Investments offices stood as an island of unsettling tranquility in the midst of chaos, where Ethan commanded the operations from Alexander's office, exuding an uncanny confidence that seemed almost otherworldly. A juvenile wizard of Wall Street, as one financial program dubbed him, stood at the center of a whirlwind. Cameras whirred to life, capturing the moment as the teenager, barely out of adolescence, engaged in intense discussions with seasoned executives, their years of experience towering over him like giants. On the 3rd day of the market's chaos, Alexander summoned the strength to make fleeting appearances at the office. Each visit was meticulously orchestrated by Lucas, designed to convey an image of resilience, while safeguarding Alexander's fragile recovery. "An emergency meeting has been requested by Lawson Global," his new assistant announced, urgency lacing her voice, "and Mr. Lawson, in particular." Alexander locked eyes with Ethan, a silent understanding passing between them. "Set it for tomorrow." Here, away from their sterile offices, Curtis Lawson stepped into the room, stripped of his usual bravado. His tailored suit, though impeccable, failed to conceal the weight of sleepless nights and the burden of relentless losses. Behind him trailed 3 other executives, their laughter sharp and mocking as they derided Alexander's adopted family, each face etched with a desperate hunger for approval. "Alexander," Lawson began, his voice steady but laced with an undercurrent of tension, as if the very air around them crackled with unspoken truths. Never before has the market faced such a unique and challenging scenario. Could it truly be? Alexander responded with a calm demeanor, his voice steady yet laced with an undercurrent of intrigue. Weeks ago, our analysts foresaw this impending correction, their insights sharp and unwavering. Lawson recoiled at the mention of correction, a term that barely scratched the surface of the devastation that had obliterated his company. We must delve into a deal that serves us both well. Lawson pressed on, his voice steady and compelling. A sudden and urgent influx of capital. Could it be the beginning of an alliance? Ethan's voice rang out, filled with disbelief. After you made your bold move for a hostile takeover? What happened after you exploited that stolen information? Lawson's expression soured at the sight of the teenager, yet a flicker of desperation tempered his voice, forcing civility into the charged air. In the ruthless world of commerce, every decision is a calculated move, every interaction a strategic play. The stakes are high, and the game never sleeps. In the heat of the moment, we've all found ourselves making bold, audacious choices. With a surge of anticipation, Alexander leaned forward. Allow me to grasp the depths of this situation. Are you asking me to rescue the very company of the man who sought to ruin mine? Who dared to exploit my suffering for their own gain? Who dared to label my sons as street rats? The market is poised to languish in its current state for months to come. One of the other executives burst in, urgency lacing their voice. By then, we will find ourselves on the brink of despair, with thousands of livelihoods shattered and retirement dreams obliterated. With a swift motion, Alexander pivoted to face Ethan. What insights does our algorithm unveil for companies that embrace robust risk management and uphold ethical governance? Ethan moved with unwavering precision. In just 8 weeks, a remarkable recovery awaits, with the promise of substantial growth looming on the horizon as the quarter draws to a close. The silence in the room hung heavy, wrapping around them like a thick fog, suffocating and all-consuming. At last, Alexander rose to his feet. Gentlemen, I will entertain your offer of assistance, but only on one condition. Name it, Lawson urged, his voice sharp and urgent. Alexander's lips curled into a smile, a glimmer of intrigue dancing in his eyes. My sons will unveil the terms, their voices weaving a tapestry of understanding. Pay close attention to what I'm about to say. As Alexander emerged to take the medication that Dylan had insisted must not be postponed, he caught the sound of Ethan's voice rising, detailing conditions that would irrevocably alter Manhattan's financial landscape and the fates of countless, vulnerable young souls across the city. Alexander couldn't help but feel the weight of the irony pressing down on him. The street children, once mere charity cases, now held the power to shape the destinies of the elites who had ridiculed them. They wielded this influence not through vengeance, but with a profound vision that transcended their past. The terms unfolded with a clarity that captivated even Alexander. Ethan, bolstered by the unwavering loyalty of his brothers, had forged a plan that transcended mere financial lifelines. Half of the board seats at every company that has been saved must be filled by individuals who possess a wealth of experience in social services or education. Ethan unveiled the truth. The next day, as the executives gathered, a bolded declaration echoed through the room. At least 30% of the annual profits would be dedicated to transformative programs for at-risk youth. No way, Lawson gasped, disbelief etched across his face. Our shareholders would never allow this to happen. Your shareholders are on the brink of losing it all, Thomas interjected, his voice devoid of emotion. This presents them with a chance for redemption, Tyler pressed on, his voice steady and unwavering. Every company will forge apprenticeship programs, creating vital pathways to employment for youth hailing from disadvantaged backgrounds, alongside offering full college scholarships for those who meet the qualifications, Lucas emphasized. Dylan, the youngest of them all, finally broke the silence, his voice trembling with anticipation. Additionally, there is a call for increased funding directed towards medical research that seeks innovative treatments for diseases that have long been overlooked, particularly those impacting vulnerable communities. The executives stood frozen, their expressions a mix of disbelief and shock as the comprehensive demands poured forth from the very children they had once brushed aside. With a heart swelling with quiet pride, Alexander observed his sons as they navigated the complexities of their endeavors. their maturity and vision eclipsing that of the so-called business leaders around them. Time was slipping away, and Ethan realized he had just 24 hours to make a choice that could change everything. Once that moment passes, our offer will vanish into thin air. As the last of the executives slipped out, Alexander summoned his family into the sanctuary of his private office. "Do you understand the gravity of your actions?" He posed the question to them, his voice laced with anticipation. "You're not merely rescuing companies. You're dismantling and reshaping systems that have endured for generations. Systems that failed us," Ethan replied, his voice heavy with the weight of countless others like us. Later that evening, as they made their way back to the mansion, Alexander stumbled upon Dylan in the library, a solitary figure shrouded in an unsettling silence. "What weighs heavily on your mind?" Alexander inquired softly. Dylan lifted his gaze from the pages of the medical journal that had consumed his attention. "They unleashed their cruelty upon us, leaving scars that would never fade. They mocked us, hurling insults like daggers." "Indeed," Alexander nodded in agreement. "They certainly did. Now we hold the power to witness their downfall, to allow them to feel the crushing weight of emptiness." The small boy's voice was devoid of malice, resonating instead with a sincere moral question. Could that truly be justice? Alexander settled into the space beside him, the air thick with unspoken tension. Perhaps, just perhaps, the shadows hold secrets yet to be unveiled. But is justice truly what we are after? The other boys huddled in the doorway, their ears straining to catch every whispered word. "What is it that we are truly searching for?" Lucas inquired. Alexander's gaze swept over each of them, lingering on their faces, searching for unspoken truths. These remarkable children, who had faced trials and tribulations that would leave most adults trembling, stood resilient against the storms of their young lives. But that's the question that lingers in the shadows, isn't it? Revenge flows like a river, swift and relentless. Transformation is a daunting challenge. "We could do both," Tyler proposed, a spark of excitement in his eyes. "Assist them but let the pain linger." "We could," Alexander replied, a spark of determination igniting in his eyes. The question lingers in the air, heavy with uncertainty. Who would that make us? A thick, oppressive silence descended upon the room. At last, Ethan's voice broke the silence, echoing from the shadows of the doorway. "Every day on the streets, we faced a choice that could change everything, transform into the very pain that scarred us, or rise above it to become something extraordinary." As he crossed the threshold into the room, a palpable tension hung in the air, thick with unspoken secrets and the weight of anticipation. "Let us cast our lot for something greater." One by one, the others inclined their heads, a silent pact forming in the air around them. As dawn broke, the executives reappeared, their faces a mix of determination and relief, clutching the signed agreements that sealed their acceptance of every condition laid before them. As the papers changed hands, Lawson stepped closer to Alexander, seeking a moment away from prying eyes. He confessed, a look of confusion etched across his face. "You had the power to bring our world to its knees. In the aftermath of my actions, after the words I spoke about those innocent children, what could possibly compel you to extend your hand to us?" Alexander's gaze swept across the room, landing on his sons as they pored over documents with the legal team, their expressions a mix of determination and focus. "I had exceptional teachers," he said, his voice steady yet filled with an undercurrent of reverence. As Lawson departed, a profound sense of humility washed over him, and Alexander experienced an unexpected lightness in his heart. His body remained locked in a relentless battle against cancer, a fragile fortress under siege. Yet his spirit soared with an intensity unmatched. Under the cloak of night, the Morgan family gathered in Alexander's study, laughter and the aroma of pizza filling the air, a stark contrast to the stiff, formal dinners that had once defined his existence. "To the future," Alexander declared, raising his glass of sparkling water high, the sound of it clinking against the boys' sodas ringing out like a promise in the air. "To family," Dylan said, a smile playing on his lips. In the weeks that followed, extraordinary changes began to unfold. As the dust settled, The financial crisis began to stabilize, unfolding precisely as the algorithm had foreseen. Morgan Investments not only braved the tempest, but emerged more formidable, leading other companies toward resurgence through the strategic alliances Ethan had meticulously crafted. The elite of Manhattan leaned in, their eyes glinting with intrigue as the terms of these agreements began to unfold before them. Board meetings, once dominated by the relentless pursuit of profit margins, now buzzed with fervent discussions about apprenticeship programs and scholarship initiatives, weaving a new narrative of purpose and impact. Corporate offices swung open their doors, inviting young individuals from backgrounds akin to those of the Morgan boys. "It's working better than we anticipated," Ethan declared, his voice cutting through the tension in the room during their weekly family meeting. The dining room table lay strewn with reports, each one a testament to the profound impact of their initiatives, whispering secrets of change and transformation. Companies are discovering that these programs not only spark innovation, but also cultivate a sense of community goodwill, ultimately enhancing their bottom line. "The medical research funding is yielding results," Dylan exclaimed, his voice brimming with excitement. "3 groundbreaking clinical trials have been greenlit, emerging from the depths of our innovative model." In a stunning turn of events, Alexander's health began to flourish, defying all expectations. The experimental treatment protocol had slashed his cancer markers by more than 60%, igniting a flicker of hope in the shadows of despair. Once filled with doubt, his doctors now meticulously chronicled every detail of his extraordinary case for the annals of medical journals. "They've named it the Morgan Protocol," Dylan declared, a spark of pride igniting in his voice. "It has the potential to transform the lives of thousands of patients facing similar struggles." On a seemingly ordinary afternoon, Eleanor Hayes reappeared, her presence a jolt of surprise as she sought an audience with Alexander. She lingered in his office, a mere echo of the bold woman she once was, her unease palpable in the charged air. Lawson made grand promises, weaving a tapestry of hope, only to vanish when the shadows of his company's downfall crept in. Alexander's gaze pierced through her facade, haunted by the weight of 2 decades spent in unwavering loyalty, now shattered by the sting of betrayal. "What is it that you seek, Eleanor?" "This is my opportunity to set things right," she whispered, her voice barely above a breath. "Every role awaits. I'll begin from the very depths if that's what it takes." With a swift motion, Alexander pivoted to face Ethan, whose quiet gaze had been fixed intently on him. "What are your thoughts on this?" Ethan paused, weighing his thoughts with a heavy heart before finally speaking. "In the shadows of past mistakes, the glimmer of redemption beckons. Yet, the fragile thread of trust hangs in the balance, waiting to be woven anew." Alexander gave a solemn nod, the weight of unspoken thoughts hanging in the air around him. "A thrilling opportunity awaits to lead the charge in our innovative youth programs. The work is relentless, a stark contrast to your former role, as you navigate the turbulent lives of troubled teenagers." Eleanor's eyes flickered with surprise, and then she gave a slow, deliberate nod. With a resolute nod, "I embrace the challenge ahead. My deepest gratitude." With the arrival of spring in Manhattan, the Morgan family stood on the brink of a quiet revolution, their lives poised to change forever. Once the subject of ridicule in financial circles, Morgan's charity case now drew the keen eyes of analysts, captivated by the groundbreaking strategies his exceptionally talented sons were unleashing upon the worlds of business and philanthropy. The tide had shifted, not by brute strength, but by the power of vision and unwavering determination. Exactly 1 year after Alexander Morgan's world was shattered by a terminal diagnosis, he found himself at the podium of the freshly inaugurated Morgan Foundation for Young Innovators, a beacon of hope amidst the shadows of despair. The once neglected warehouse, a relic of a struggling neighborhood, now stood transformed, its walls shimmering with the promise of innovation labs, vibrant teaching spaces, and a sanctuary for youth navigating their journey of transition. 12 months ago when I received my diagnosis," Alexander began, his voice unwavering and filled with intensity. "Even with the deep emotions swirling within me, I felt as though I was standing at the precipice of an ending. What I discovered was not an end, but a thrilling new beginning. The audience, a captivating blend of business leaders, medical professionals, and vibrant young individuals from diverse backgrounds, hung on every word, their attention unwavering. Attention, unwavering. In the front row, 5 boys clad in matching navy suits sat with bated breath, their hearts swelling with pride as the man they had rescued recounted the tale of their daring act. Medical science will tell you my recovery was due to an innovative treatment protocol, Alexander continued, his voice steady yet laced with an undercurrent of something deeper. In the world of finance, whispers of Morgan Investments' extraordinary ascent echo through the halls of power, where astute analysts point to the enigmatic predictive algorithms and the web of strategic partnerships that have woven together this tale of success. Both are accurate yet lack the full picture. He halted, his gaze locking onto his sons with an intensity that demanded their full attention. What ultimately rescued me, what changed the course of my life, was discovering a family in the most unforeseen of circumstances. 5 remarkable young men who pierced through the facade of my wealth to uncover my profound emptiness, who looked past my power to reveal my deepest vulnerabilities. The Foundation's inaugural ceremony was a breathtaking celebration, a moment that encapsulated the extraordinary journey they had undertaken. The Morgan Protocol, the revolutionary cancer treatment pioneered by Dylan, was now transforming the lives of patients across the globe. The twins' groundbreaking algorithm transformed the landscape of market forecasting, channeling its profits into impactful social initiatives. Lucas's artistic vision sculpted the Foundation's design, forging realms where creativity could blossom, unbound by the constraints of background. Ethan emerged as Alexander's unwavering ally in the ruthless world of business, infusing the corporate landscape with innovative ideas that transformed the very essence of their culture from the inside out. After the ceremony, as guests mingled in the Foundation's central atrium, Eleanor Hayes made her way through the crowd, flanked by a group of teenagers, her first cohort from the street outreach program she now led. Their energy crackled in the air, a mix of hope and uncertainty, as they stepped into a world that was both new and daunting. "They have something to show you," she whispered to Alexander and the boys, her voice laced with intrigue. A girl stepped forward, her heart racing with uncertainty. "We crafted this app to guide children toward safe havens and essential services." With a flick of her wrist, she unveiled the program on her tablet, the screen lighting up with possibilities. It functions seamlessly even in the absence of a stable connection, catering to those who find themselves cut off from the digital world. Alexander observed as his sons seamlessly connected with the teens, their voices filled with genuine suggestions and encouragement, embodying the effortless grace of those who truly grasped the moment. In that moment, there was an undeniable bond, a raw connection that pulsed between the young souls. They saw each other, not as strangers, but as kindred spirits, each grappling with their own battles yet standing strong in their shared humanity. As twilight descended, the Morgan family convened in the library, the very heart of their home where their journey had first ignited. "A year has passed since that fateful day. The board has approved your nomination unanimously," Alexander revealed to Ethan, his voice carrying a weight of significance that hung in the air. Imagine stepping into the role of the youngest executive director in the Foundation's history, a position that carries both immense responsibility and thrilling potential. "Do you truly believe that? What do you want?" Ethan demanded, his voice laced with urgency. "Whispers will spread like wildfire." Alexander's lips curled into a smile, a flicker of intrigue dancing in his eyes. "Let them come. The outcome will reveal its own truth." Dylan stepped forward, clutching Alexander's latest medical results, the weight of uncertainty hanging in the air. "Full remission," he declared, a triumphant gleam in his eyes. "The confirmation has arrived. What does it matter?" "At this very moment," Lucas inquired, "every plan has been executed to perfection." "Not everything," Alexander replied, his voice laced with contemplation. "Beyond the horizon, other children exist, mirroring your own journey. Unseen possibilities linger, ready to be unearthed. A fresh endeavor awaits," the twins inquired in unison, their eyes sparkling with excitement. As Alexander surveyed the remarkable boys who had unexpectedly stepped into his world, he felt a flicker of hope ignite within him, a stark contrast to the darkness he believed was closing in. Who had instilled in him the profound truth that a true legacy transcends mere structures or wealth, manifesting instead in the lives forever changed? No, he replied, a smile dancing on his lips. A fresh chapter unfolds.